We've done the bare minimum.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Chill the Heck Out with Ava. I'm Ava, and today we're going to be taking a look at more Dhar Mann, but it's going to be a little bit different because we're going to take a look at some of his original inspirational videos where it's just him speaking. The first video we're going to look at is titled, Before Deciding to Give Up on All Your Goals.
What if Michael Jordan decided to stop playing basketball after he got cut from his high school basketball team? Or what if Oprah decided to leave entertainment because she got fired from her job as a reporter? Or what if Elon Musk gave up after he crashed his first rocket?
So you do realize we're not out here like, man, I could launch another rocket, but I guess I'm just being too lazy.
What would the world be like if history's most influential people decided to stop working on their dreams when their dreams didn't work? We live in this culture that expects us to put our best foot forward, but then during moments of hardship, we're supposed to put our foot in our mouth.
That's not what the term put your foot in your mouth means. Saying put your foot in your mouth is what you do whenever you say something awkward or inappropriate to somebody. It's not just a term for shutting up.
It's like we're supposed to brag about our best moments just to get more likes, but then during our struggles, we're supposed to have no comments. What happens is we become so terrified of trying and failing in life that so many of us end up failing to ever even try. Confucius said that our greatest glory in life is not in never failing, but it's in rising.
Definitely thought that was a joint. You get really philosophical when you're smoking a giant doobie.
Rising every time we fail. See, failure is not the opposite of success. It's a requirement for success.
But it's really not, though. Like, if you're pursuing something, you are more likely than not to fail a couple of times. But maybe you'll succeed the first time. It's not just an inherent thing that failure is going to happen. Even though, obviously, you need to learn to accept failure, it's not inherent to the process.
Think about this. We break down our muscles in order to grow them. Or we go through labor in order to give birth.
Excuse me, sir, we do not do anything.
We even break ground to build up towers. It's really after we break down, that's when we can start to break through. Like, what if we took all the crap in our life?
Like, it's a nice saying and it sounds good. Oh, we break down and then we start to break through. But, like, this is just meaningless banter. Oh, we'll break down and then we'll break through. Like, sometimes people break down and they don't have the means or support to get out of that. Before we continue, let's take a quick sidestep and find out a little bit more about who Dhar Mann actually is. According to his own website, so in his own words, this is who Dhar Mann is. Dhar Mann is a mission-driven entrepreneur with 82 million social media followers and one of the highest viewed content creators in the world today with over 37 billion views. Dhar focuses on developing ideas that have a massive... Okay, hold on. This is straight claim. Dhar focuses on developing ideas that have a massive impact and have helped change the lives of people all across the globe. Citation needed. Dhar's business experience extends across many industries, including real estate, transportation, franchising, cosmetics, subscriptions, social media, motivation, and filmmaking. His story, business, and life tips have been shared on Forbes, Entrepreneur, New York Times, BuzzFeed, and many more. Dhar launched his first business as a real estate mortgage brokerage at the age of 19 while studying at University of California, Davis. Before he could legally drink, he had 3 offices, 25 plus employees, and was funding millions of dollars in real estate loans. Okay, you obviously you were from a wealthy family and had creditors that were willing to lend to you to start this up. There's not 19-year-olds out there who are just... It's frustrating because he makes it come across like the only thing holding you back is your determination and your drive. It's like, no, dude, no. People don't have the money or the leverage or the influence to do the things that you're just taking for granted as like, oh, well, this is just something you do unless you're too lazy. You did not start a real estate mortgage brokerage at the age of 19. Like, you obviously had people helping you with that. And it's just so frustrating that he's trying to present it like at 19, he just goes out in the world with nothing. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to start loaning people real estate money. Like, you don't, you have to already have money in the first place in order to do that. So it's really annoying to be talked to by a person like this who's saying the only thing holding you back is you, when that person has never ever experienced being held back by circumstances because they've always had the money and the means to do anything they want. If everyone just had the funds to start businesses, they would be starting businesses. No one didn't start a business because they had the money. They just didn't have the vision. At 21 years old, Dhar was already making more than his college professors. That's a really unnecessary dig. As the company grew, Dhar dropped out of college to focus solely on business. But after pressure from his family, he eventually went back and earned his degree in economics and political science. Dhar later expanded his real estate ventures to include property management and buying and selling property. He remains active in real estate today. In 2015, Mann started Live Glam, I don't know, Live Glam or Live Glam, an award-winning beauty subscription company. What awards did it win? I'm just going to call it Live Glam. Live Glam began as an online makeup school, but after partnering with his fiancée and after partnering with his fiancée and well-known beauty influencer Laura G, he expanded the company to start manufacturing its own cosmetic products. All products Live Glam manufacturers are vegan and cruelty-free. So obviously this is supposed to say all products Live Glam manufacturers are vegan and cruelty-free. Pay for a freaking editor for your website. Today, Live Glam generates 8 figures in annual revenue with a global team of 100 plus members. 2 million, it actually says 2 MM, I'm not sure why, but we're going with 2 million. 2 million social media followers and 10 million plus products shipped. In addition to working with some of the best in the beauty industry, Live Glam has been featured in Cosmopolitan, BuzzFeed. I don't know why they keep bringing up BuzzFeed. It's not an impressive place to be listed. Pop Sugar, Elle, InStyle, and many more. Dhar is currently the CEO of Live Glam today. He has been this whole time. You didn't mention that changed at any point. Anyway, in 2018, he founded Dhar Mann Studios. So this is one part that I wanted to point out, is that especially looking back at the car lot video where they're trying to sell the Rolls Royce, he's already a millionaire in 2018. You're gonna come and tell me that this $1 million real estate brokerage firm makeup mogul owner can't afford, and I'm so sorry I can't draw this. I know it's like not that huge of a deal, but you can't afford a car lot set? Get out of my face right now. In 2018, he founded Dhar Mann Studios, one of the fastest growing social media content creation companies worldwide. I also suspect that this is the case. I'm pretty sure because he bought subscribers and likes. I can't prove that. I'm just a person on the internet, but reading some of the comments on his videos and seeing people say things that are just completely outlandish, like, oh my gosh, how inspirational, you really changed my life. It's very obviously reeks of bot energy. Dhar Mann Studios created viral inspirational videos on life, business, and relationships that have been viewed over 37 billion times. It's hate views. These videos depict real-life situations shown by actors. No. Real-life situations. Honey, whose life are we talking about? These videos depict real-life situations shown by actors that teach important life lessons. That teach important life lessons driven by Dhar's personal experience of success and failure. Dhar Mann Studios is a mission-led company on track to have more views than any other individual or company in the world. Dhar's mission for creating content is simple. We're not just telling stories, we're changing lives. Okay, false, because this whole sentence betrays itself, because right here you say the mission is, we're not just telling stories, we're changing lives. That's not a mission, that's a tagline. Your mission was mentioned in the previous line, which says you're on track to have more views than any other individual or company in the world. That's your mission. Let's be clear. Your mission is to have more views and likes than any individual or company. Your tagline is, we're not just telling stories, we're changing lives. Because while the first one is happening, the second one is not. Nobody's lives have been changed. In 2021, Dhar released his first mobile app, which was ranked #1 globally in the Apple Store. In the same year, YouTube named Mann as the #2 top content creator in the United States on their platform. I wonder who was #1. Oh, was it Mr. Beast? Oh, #1 is Mr. Beast. Even as an entrepreneur, Dhar focuses on maintaining a strong and happy personal life outside of work. That includes scheduling plenty of time to travel with his fiancée Laura and spending time with his 2 baby girls, Ella Rose and Mila Sky. You can keep up with the latest on the family on their vlog channel. No thanks, I'd rather jump headfirst into a wood chipper. And keep in mind, guy, when you see, okay, look at this picture, okay? First of all, they are completely done up to the nines. Professional hair, professional makeup, probably designer clothes. I just find it, I hate it when they say things like, Dhar focuses on maintaining a strong and happy personal life outside of work. This is the things he's doing when he's spending time with his family. This is a very, very heavily, this isn't like a picture of him and his family just waking up and having breakfast or something. This has been, they've gone through hair and makeup to take this picture. So just be careful when you hear of people living these high style, luxurious lives. And then they're like, oh, but we still have time to do all these normal things that normal people do. Normal people don't look like this. Normal people aren't just hanging out with their kids looking like they're about to walk down a runway. You're not looking at something real whenever you see pictures like this, and especially when they try to drive home the point or drive home the fact that, oh, I spent normal time with my family, I'm just a normal person. No, you're not. This is very clearly a photo shoot, and if that's the best thing you have to put forward to present that you spend time with your family, I'm going to guess that most of the time spent with your family is doing superficial stuff like this. Want to learn more about Dhar Mann? Follow him on social media to join the Dhar Mann fam so you can become a part of his mission to change lives too. I don't know how that would make you a part of anything. Anyways, going back. So that is how he is described on dharman.com. So no doubt he typed that out himself and did not have somebody edit it. Whole point is, when somebody describes themselves, you can pretty much guarantee that things are embellished. So, oh, I started this company when I was only 19. Okay, obviously there was more going on in the background than what you're letting on. You weren't just a 19-year-old fresh out in the world, doing nothing, and then you just start lending millions of dollars in a brokerage. It doesn't happen. I have one of the most watched channels. Well, you had enough money to buy millions of followers. So, yeah, of course, you have one of the top rated channels. Like, that's how the algorithm works. But anyway, I digress. Moving back to the video.
Our struggles, our failures, all the naysayers, and we use that as fertilizer to help us grow. If we're not supposed to let success get to our heads, then why do we let failure get to our hearts? Thomas Edison said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that have not worked. Stephen King's first book was rejected 30 times.
Did he submit it to the same editor every single time, or was that like different ones? Like, how many different publishing companies are there that you can submit something 30 times? I bet it was the same one, and he just kept sending it in. And then finally the executives are like, all right, this guy is clearly on cocaine. Let's just publish his book before he shoots up the office.
Walt Disney was denied for loans by over 300 banks. Even Babe Ruth struck out over 1,300 times. Let us never forget the wise words of Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Success does not honor the bold. Success honors the persistent. It's the people that refuse to give up failure after failure after failure, they keep pushing forward no matter what it takes in order to succeed. Those are the people that success honors. There is no actual physical mountain.
Problem with what you're saying is there are some situations being experienced by people today that they are not going to determine themselves out of. They are not going to push forward and strive and continue to fail and try to do better and get themselves out of some of these situations. Some people are in situations where they can't afford even their basic necessities. It's not a matter of, oh, well, I could have saved money, but I spent it on a Gucci bag. Like, they don't have it. And so to have these inspirational speakers out here saying things like this, people are just hearing that and then feeling like absolute shit about themselves because they're like, oh, I can't, I'm obviously doing something wrong. I'm not determined enough, when it's really just your circumstances don't allow you to rise above a certain point.
Mountain that's standing in the way of whatever it is that you want in life. That mountain, it's in your own mind. The only person that can stop you from getting whatever it is that you want in life is you.
That's just not true. You can't just have everything you want in life. There are limitations, especially when it comes to money. When it comes to money, influence, and opportunity, some people have a way bigger of a leg up than other people. And there's just some situations you're not going to get yourself out of by being determined or believing in yourself. There are systemic changes that need to be made in order for people to be able to reach their full potential. The next inspirational video we're going to take a look at is titled, How Letting Go Can Change Your Entire Life.
One day, there are these two monks, a senior monk and his apprentice, a junior monk, and they're both walking through the countryside. When they get to this river, they can't help but notice there's this elderly woman that's trying to cross. The elderly woman approaches both monks and says, please, help me get across this river. I need to make it to the other side so I can see my family. Both monks stopped and stared at each other. They didn't know what to do because they had given vows as monks not to touch a woman. Then, without any more hesitation, the senior monk picks up the elderly woman and carries her across the river. They get to the other side.
That's some impressive feat of strength. You're just hopping across river rocks holding a whole person.
The senior monk puts the woman down, she thanks him, and then goes on her way. Both monks continue walking through the countryside.
Telling me those rocks aren't slippery?
But the junior monk is visibly upset. He can't believe that the senior monk touched that woman. They continue walking down the path. An hour passes by. 2 hours pass by.
Where are they going?
Finally, 3 hours pass by and the junior monk cannot take it anymore. He turns to the senior monk and says, how could you touch that woman? You know that as monks is forbidden. The senior monk.
Okay, so I actually watched this one last night and I was like, oh, you know what, I feel like this is actually going in a good direction because the lesson's obviously going to be that you do the right thing. The right thing was to help her and pick her up and carry her across, even though it went against my vows. It would go more against my vows as a monk in the way that I've decided to live, to not help out a person in need. Okay, that's the direction you think it's going in, right? Oh, honey.
Stops and stares at his apprentice and says, my brother, I carried that woman across the river for just a moment.
In an extremely impressive acrobatic feat of strength, I might add.
But you've been carrying on to her for all these hours. Why are you still holding on to her? What a beautiful story about holding on to things and not letting go. How many of us hold on to things that last?
That was such a weird setup for that lesson. Like, the lesson should have been, do the right thing, even if it goes against some arbitrary promise that you've made, because it's more important to help people than it is to stick to weird claims that you've decided to behold yourself to. Don't be afraid to let go of stuff. Like, what kind of lesson is this? It's just, I feel like it's so, everything that he does is just super generic, and it's like, at the end of the day, it's really meaningless.
For just a moment, literally for weeks or months, sometimes even years passes by before we've really let go. Sometimes it's what somebody did to us, or other times it's what somebody said to us. Sometimes it's even so small, like a rude comment that a complete stranger left to us that consumes our entire day. But the crazy part is that by holding on to this anger,
And it's not untrue. Like, you shouldn't stew on things that random strangers say to you. You shouldn't hold on to stuff, but the story setup didn't really make any sense. That should have gone in a completely different direction.
it doesn't hurt the other person. The only person it hurts is ourselves. One of my favorite quotes is from Buddha, and Buddha says, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the only one who gets burned.
Until I throw it at their face.
We can choose to hold on to these things and to drain our energy, or we can choose to unlock our higher energy by consciously letting go.
What does that mean? What do you mean? You're just saying stuff. What do you mean we're gonna unlock our higher energy? Articulate that. If you let things go, you're gonna unlock your higher energy. Like, what is any of this even applicable to?
By us letting go, that doesn't mean that we're wrong and the other person's right. It means that we let love win over hate. It means that we're letting ourselves focus on something more productive and more positive that gives us more happiness. Don't forget, our lives aren't made up of all the years that we lived them. They're made up of the moments. Even when you look back on your own life, you don't think about every year increment that happened. You think about certain moments or certain experiences that you felt or remember.
Like that one time in high school when I walked into the wrong bathroom.
This day forward, let's let go of everything that isn't serving our higher purpose, rather than letting it consume us, just like that junior monk who was holding on to that woman for all those hours. The next time that we experience something that steals our happiness in the moment, let's not forget the monk and water story. Let's not let a bad moment turn into a bad life.
Okay, next one is called Don't Worry What Others Think of You.
A long time ago, there's a man, his son, and a camel.
So a man, a son, and his camel walk into a bar.
And the three of them are working their way through this desert. The father is riding on top of the camel while the son is pulling the camel along. They get to this first village and they can't help but notice that there's this group of villagers that are whispering about the three of them. What kind of man raises a son that has to walk alongside while the father rides the camel? The father was so embarrassed after hearing this that he quickly hops off the camel and puts his son on the camel instead. They continue their journey. When they get to a second village, they can't help but notice another group of villagers whispering and passing judgment. What kind of man raises a boy that would rather ride the camel while his old father walks instead? The man was so embarrassed that he quickly pulls the boy off the camel and decides both of them are going to walk alongside. They continue their journey and then they get to a third village. Once they get to a third village, there's now a third set of villagers that see the three of them, stop and laugh hysterically. Poor old man. What kind of man would buy a camel in order to just walk alongside of it with him and his son?
Well, I have a camel and you don't. So who's laughing now?
The father and son just stopped and stared at each other. They were so lost because it seemed like no matter what they did, they were going to get laughed at. We may not be living in ancient times, but how many of us are still not pursuing our dreams or what we truly want in life because we're scared of others passing?
I'm actually not going to knock this one. This isn't a bad lesson. Don't worry about what other people think. Just do what you want. And no one knows your situation. No one knows what's going on inside your head or in your life. Just do what you want.
Judgment. We're too old, or we're too young, or we're not good enough. We don't have enough money. People with those kinds of ideas always fail. That sounds great for an idea, but not for a job. The chance of us succeeding are slim to none. The thing is, People are gonna have opinions regardless. If we don't do anything, then we're failures and we never accomplish anything in life. If we do try and put ourselves out there, then we're never gonna make it, or the idea is silly. If we're gonna get criticized no matter what, then we may as well go after it is whatever that we truly want. Aristotle said, there is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing.
I kind of disagree with that phrase a little bit. You're absolutely going to be criticized if you do nothing. I mean, if you're physically capable of doing stuff and you're sitting at home and doing nothing. Hold on. Okay, I'm so sorry. Package delivery, what was I saying? Do what you want. Worry about your own self.
As soon as we put ourselves out there, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that surface and start to pass their judgments and ridicule us. Let them focus on you while you're also focused on you. Zig Ziglar said, don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only taste of success some people have is when they take a bite out of you.
This is true. I'm not even mad. No matter what you do, someone's going to criticize you. And if you do the opposite of that thing, someone else is going to criticize you. Dang it, I do this all the time. I accidentally clicked on the... I rewound it to the beginning. Hold on. I'll find the place. I'm okay. I'm so good.
Taste of success some people have is when they take a bite out of you. What separates average people from truly exceptional people is not that exceptional people don't get criticism. They've learned that no matter what others think of them or say of them, they're not going to stop pursuing their dreams because their dreams are more important than their doubters. There was this group of musicians that were rejected by music label after music label. They were told that guitar groups and boy bands are on their way out. Well, that group happened to be the Beatles. There was this writer who was rejected by publisher after publisher after publisher. She was told that kids just aren't into wizards anymore. Well, that writer turned out to be J.K. Rowling while she was writing Harry Potter. There was this girl who inspired to be a model. She got rejected over and over again and finally told she better go find secretarial work or go get married. Well, she turned out to be Marilyn Monroe. When others told these icons that...
Yeah, I honestly, I'm just going to let this one play. I'm not even mad at it. This isn't bad advice at all because it's just, it's not hinging on whether or not you have money. This is just a general follow your dreams no matter what, which I'm fine with.
That they weren't good enough or they weren't talented enough or that they would never make it. It never stopped these icons from moving forward. They didn't give up. They didn't stop pursuing their dreams. When others said it wouldn't work, they turned around and said, watch me. There's always gonna be that person on the dance floor that's just listening to the music, dancing, and having the time of their life, regardless of what they look like. And then there's always gonna be the person on the side of the dance floor, not dancing, not listening to the music, instead just passing judgment onto the person dancing. Do you think that affects that person dancing or makes them stop having a good time? No.
But that actually brings up a good point. Sometimes it does, because sometimes when you're trying to be confident and you can see people on the sideline staring at you, like, it kind of does affect you. Like, just because it affects you doesn't mean that you stop doing that thing or let it affect the choices and decisions that you make. But it kind of does affect you. So speaking, like, to the people who do like to sit on the sidelines, and it's like, that's totally fine if you are not confident enough to get on the dance floor and dance. But it's very detrimental to sit on the sidelines and be judgingly eyeing people who do decide to get up. Just a thought. Because, like, we have this whole, like, oh, well, there's the confident people and they're not affected by anything, which is just not true. People judging you can affect you. It's just a matter of, are you going to let that stop you or not?
They don't care at all what people are thinking of them. All they can think about is having fun in the moment. Anytime we're in a situation where we're scared of moving forward because we're worried about what people are going to think, let us never forget the man, the sun, and the camel story. People are going to judge regardless, so we may as well do what makes us happy. Let them watch your life while you actually live it.
And we'll cover just one last one today. It's called If You're Ever Feeling Down on Your Luck.
We really never know what's good or bad luck. Sometimes something great happens to us in the moment that we realize later on it was actually something bad. And sometimes something bad happens to us that later on we realize was actually a blessing in disguise. In a small town, there was this farmer that lived there with his son and his wife. Beyond those two and his farm, he didn't have much else. But what he did have a lot of was a lot of faith. So one day, his one and only horse.
You have a problem with the way that this is heading because, again, you're trying to present this like, just have faith, just believe in yourself, just know that you can do anything that you want. And that's just not applicable to every scenario. Sometimes you're in a situation where you're not just gonna believe yourself out of it. People have actual hardships and struggles that are not surmountable by simply just believing enough. It's like it's the same as the pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality that, oh well, you're not successful because you just didn't believe hard enough, and you're not successful because you didn't have enough self-confidence, when it's like maybe they're not successful because they didn't have the same chances that other successful people have.
Horse ends up escaping from his stable and running away. So his neighbors rush over to talk to the farmer and say, "What bad luck you have. We're so sorry that you lost your one and only horse." The farmer responds and says, "You never really know what's good or bad." The neighbors were so confused because how could anyone think losing their only horse was somehow good luck? They scratched.
This is another thing, the toxic positivity, because I don't know where this story is going, but there are some people like this who are like, you'll go through something hard in your life, and because of stories like this, you'll have the toxic positivity people who come in and tell you, well, you can't be upset because maybe it'll turn out to be a good thing. Things don't always turn out to be good. Sometimes things are shitty, and it's okay. You're gonna get past it, you're gonna get through it, but you don't have to look at every single situation that you encounter as, oh, how can I see the good in this? Like, there's nothing wrong with trying to see the good in everything, and there's always a balance, but you don't have to see the good in losing your only piece of livestock or something detrimental happening to you. You don't have to see the good in it. You don't have to crumble under the pressure of how bad it is and let that change the way that you live for the rest of your life and ruin everything. But you just don't have to be positive when something bad happens to you. It's okay to be upset and be like, wow, you know what? This is a really crappy thing that happened, and I'm gonna have to work real hard to get through this. It's okay to admit when something is not okay.
Think losing their only horse was somehow good luck. They scratched their heads and walked away. The very next day, that horse ends up returning to the farm and brings with it another horse.
Dude, oh my god, this it's just like the videos he made. I swear I thought he was gonna say the horse came back with a saddlebag full of money. His stories are always, bad thing happens, but it's okay because something good is going to happen. And that's just not always the truth. A lot of times, a good thing doesn't happen. A bad thing just happens and it sucks, and you practice good coping skills in order to move on from that situation. But sometimes things just suck. And that's honestly okay. Everything doesn't have to be positive and good all the time, and not every crappy situation that you encounter is going to somehow turn into a good situation. Sometimes it just stays crappy and you sit there with it and it just is what it is, and then you move on.
Those same neighbors come back to the farmer and say, "Oh my God, what amazing luck you have. You now have two horses." The farmer responds the exact same way. He says, "Well, you never really know what's good or bad." The neighbors were even
also, whose horse did you just steal? Because now some other farmer has lost a horse. And he's like, oh man, I'm so unlucky. He's the one whose story is going to end with just being shitty because he just lost his horse. But I guess good for you because you got a free horse. But like, that horse didn't just come from nowhere.
The neighbors were even more confused. How could anyone see now having two horses as bad luck? They shake their heads and walked away.
But little did they know, it turned out that the second horse was poor.
A few days later, the farmer's one and only son is riding the new horse that came into the stable. As he's playing with this horse, he ends up falling down and breaking his leg. Those same neighbors rush over and tell the farmer,
"We're the horse." That has to do with your poor horse riding skills. Like, and you could have done that on the original horse. Oh no, our horse came back with another horse and now we have two horses, but it was actually bad that we have two horses because I suck at riding horses and I fell and broke my leg.
Those same neighbors rush over and tell the farmer, "We're so sorry, we can't believe that. What terrible luck you have." The farmer responds the same way and says,
and I hope that this is what this video is going to conclude with, but luck isn't a thing. Good things happen, bad things happen, and we need to accept both of these situations as part of life. Some things are good, some things are bad, and it's fine. Not every situation is going to be shitty and then, oh, but it's okay, let's have a good attitude. Like, let's get past the idea that you need to have a good attitude about something shitty happening to you. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to cry. It's okay to get mad. It's not okay to go overboard with those emotions or to do inappropriate things because of those emotions or lash out at people. But it is absolutely okay to not be happy-go-lucky, chipper, and cheery about the fact that you lost a horse. And then also, if you lose a horse and your horse comes back with another horse, find out whose horse that was. And do it because it's the right thing to do, not because your son might be riding the stolen horse later and then fall and break his leg.
"Well, you never really know what's good or bad." The neighbors thought the farmer must have lost his mind, because how could anyone think that their son falling down and breaking
This has happened so many times now. Your neighbors are super dumb.
his leg was a good thing? So they left. Sure enough, the very next day, the army comes to town.
Oh my god. Okay. We're just gonna continue.
The army comes to town, recruiting young and strong men for an upcoming war that was about to happen. All of the neighbors' sons were recruited for this war. When the army got to the farmer's house, they walked inside and noticed the farmer's son's leg was...
There's no way you're going this direction with this story. It's okay. Breaking your leg on a stolen horse actually turned out to be a blessing, because now I can't be conscripted into war. This is definitely the way that situations are going to go in most people's lives. It's like just the natural course of things. You steal a horse, you break a leg, you don't get conscripted into battle.
House, they walked inside and noticed the farmer's son's leg was broken. And because of the broken leg, he was ineligible to go to the army.
He's just got a shit-eating grin on his face. What is this family? They steal horses, they get injured in order to skip out on compulsory military service.
The broken leg, he was ineligible to go to the army. So you never really know what's good or what's bad. Once in a while, these unexpected events happen that we perceive as disasters in our lives. We lost our...
I can't even take the rest of this video seriously. What a stupid lesson. Don't properly secure your animals, because they may run away, and then you will be rewarded for your irresponsibility, because that animal will come back with another animal. And don't worry about the fact that that second animal belongs to somebody else and you essentially just horse rustled one of your neighbors. That's okay. The horse is now yours, and you should definitely let your son ride it so that he breaks a bone and doesn't get conscripted into the military. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, like this video. If you like what I do and want to see more of it, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye! You get really philosophical when you're smoking a giant doobie.